I'd like to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High, and we're gonna get into it today, man. And you know, today we're gonna be going back in history a little bit, and we're gonna be looking at the Italian dictator Mussolini and some of the tactics that he used. You know, it was similar to the things that they do in this modern day time. Now, a lot of people, before we start and we start with this, we're gonna go back a little further, because a lot of people, they say, this targeting, originated in Stasi, Germany, but through me reading the scriptures, you can see that it started way before that, way before that, and when Yeshua HaMashiach came on deck, they were following him and following him around and spying on him, this, that, and the third. And you see that in Luke chapter 20, verse 20. It tells you that in Luke chapter 20, verse 20. But before Yeshua HaMashiach came, this was going on, and we're gonna, show you that real quick before we get into Mussolini, man. So right here, we're gonna start at the highlighted part where it says 43. And this is concerning King Herod and his wife, Marianne or Marymain or something like that. I can't pronounce her name, but like I was saying, this is before Yeshua HaMashiach even came on the scene. They were doing this. So this was about his wife, who he eventually killed, and this is the type of things that he was doing to her. Way back then. So right here it says, so he gave command that she should dwell in the palace and meddle with no public affairs. Her guards also were so careful that nothing she did in private life every day was concealed. So, you know what I mean? They were watching her 24/7, all these hardships put her out of patience, and little by little she began to hate Herod. For as she had the pride of a woman to the utmost degree, she had great indignation at the suspicious guard that was about her. As desirous rather to undergo anything that could befall her than to be deprived of her liberty of speech, and under the notion of an honorary guard to live in a state of slavery and terror, man. You see that? And she was innocent, man. She was innocent, But this guy Herod was just so wicked, man. But he was wielding the power, So you see what it says? The guards was watching her 24/7, and anything that she did in private was known. It was put out there. She couldn't meddle in public affairs, And she, like I said, I'm gonna summarize a little bit. She ran away. She tried to run away. Then it says, then live in slavery and terror, man. So as you can see, it started back then, man. And that was in the writings of Josephus, man. Reporting on the things that, the surveillance that Herod had on his wife. He said he started to hate her. She started to hate him. Because she's being, no, I mean, come on, nobody likes that. Being watched 24/7. So anything that she did, like I said, it wasn't concealed. So right there, man, you see that this was way before Yeshua HaMashiach even came, man. But right now, we're gonna get into this fascist dictator Mussolini, and we're gonna play a couple short videos, about a minute a piece, minute 30. So you're gonna see the things that he did to his wife, and you're gonna see the things that he did to his son. Just little short clips, man, and you're gonna see the similarities, of things that they do in this modern day time still for people that's targeted. So we're gonna get into it, man.
Mussolini had the secret police arrest and abduct his first wife. Ida Dolce, whilst held in custody, was beaten badly was then forced to wear a straitjacket after she was declared insane. Following this, she was then committed into an asylum against her wishes, but there was nothing really wrong with her. She was just telling the truth about her husband Mussolini, the dictator of Italy, who was a bigamist, a terrible father, and who was not what the Italian people saw. Records relating to Ida Dolce are incredibly hard to find, as most were destroyed, but in 1937, a few years before the Second World War broke out, it was said that Ida Dolce died of a brain hemorrhage at the age of 57. Now we can only speculate as to whether she actually died of this, or if there was some underhand means that occurred in relation to her death. It could be possible to reach the conclusion that Mussolini, who was at the pinnacle of his power, ordered his first wife to be killed by members of the staff inside of the psychiatric hospital. This would in a sense be an execution, as it was practically the arranged killing of an individual, and the fact she was incarcerated inside of a hospital was almost like a death sentence to her, whilst Mussolini was in power, and there was no chance of her getting out of hospital. Also, Mussolini, it can be considered, could be involved in the killing of Ida Dolce's son, his first child, and the son that bore his name.
Alright, you see what he did to his wife. Now, I'm not going to talk too much. We're going to get right into it, to what he did to his son. Let's go.
And in fact, he was just telling the truth, that his father, the leader of Italy, was a bigamist, and that he was his son. But Mussolini, to eliminate the threat of people knowing about his son, silenced him by institutionalising him. He was held inside of an asylum in Milan, and it was here where he was brutally killed by doctors inside. It's clear that the doctors must have been under orders to kill Benito Mussolini Jr., the son of the dictator. The fascist government must have passed instruction for him to be killed, and there are different accounts as to what happened. It's claimed by some accounts that the son of the dictator was killed at the age of 26 in July 1942 by coma-inducing injections. With this, he was practically just given medication in the form of a lethal injection that killed him, sending him to sleep. But there are other sources that document that he was killed from a number of electric shock treatments that he was given, his body being given shock treatment whilst inside the institution. It's considered that his death must have been organised in an attempt to erase him from history, and the organisation of it runs parallel as if it was an organised execution. If this is the case, Mussolini, the dictator of Italy, happily ordered the execution of his own son, and following his death, he was buried in an unmarked grave. Interestingly, the downfall of Mussolini would come not too long after the death of his firstborn son.
So you see, man, it's nothing new under the sun. What was then is now, like the scripture says, man. It's just repackaged, you know, and it's more, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was secretive back then, but, you know, it's secretive now, today too, you know, but, you know, that was horrible what happened to them, man, horrible, you know, and when the wicked is wielding his power, man, you know, it's not a good thing, man. And, you know, and I mean, his wife knew he was a fraud, man. You know, that's why she outed him, you know. And like he was saying in that last video, you know, the end of this guy was horrible, man. It was horrible, you know, the end. So basically, you know, the U.S., you know, this guy sided with Germany. And, you know, basically, we know that they weren't winning the war. So when the war was pretty much coming to an end, you know, he realized that he was losing. So basically, he got on the run with his little entourage. It was him and his girlfriend, I think, and they was trying to run away, but you know there was like pretty much mercenaries out there that recognized who he was and caught them. And what they did was they pretty much they put him on the firing squad, man, because look. This guy, I mean, a lot of people still like him, and you know, they revere him, but like he led a lot of people astray, man. You know, for like about 20 years, or maybe over 20 years, man. You know, of corruption. So you know, you see, I mean, you seen the end. The end of this guy was horrible, man. You know, they hanged his body up. You know, to where all the people could view. And spectate it, man, and spectate and watch his body and watch his corpse after they killed him, you know. And the people was beating on his corpse, you know, stomping him, You know, it was horrible. Like the scripture says, man, you see the end of these guys that was doing all manner of wickedness. Like it said in that Batman movie, man, the powerful shall be ripped from their decadent nests and cast out into the cold world that we know and endure, man. And that's what happened, man. The Most High cast him down from that decadent nest, that place of comfort, man. You know? And he was cast out into the cold world, man. You know? Oh, man. So, and you can look up the pictures, man. You can look the pictures up, you can watch the story, and you can see like the pictures of him and his girl, you know, and his whole entourage just hanging, you know, at a gas station, you know. So, I mean, it's crazy, man. You know, the things that he did. And matter of fact, I'm gonna we're gonna show you in the scripture something similar, you know, that happened to somebody in the Bible, man. You know, they were up and they were decadent, and then they was cast out into the cold world, man. You know, and this is what they fear. Let's read these scriptures real quick. 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30 through 37. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tired her head and looked out the window. So she's looking out the window. She's up on a high place. Where's that? What does that represent? Her decadent nest, man. That's her decadent nest. You know, her place of comfort, man. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, "Has Zimri peace, who slew his master?" And he lifted up his face to the window and said, "Who is on my side? Who?" And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs, you know. And he said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall, and the horses, and he trod on her underfoot. You see that? She was cast down from her decadent nest, man, and out into the cold world that we know and endure, man. Oh, man, let's keep going. So verse 34. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, "Go and see now this cursed woman, and bury her, for she's the king's daughter." And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull, and the feet, and the palms of her hand. Wherefore they came again and told him. And he said, "This is the word of the Lord which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel," man. You see that? You see that? So what does the dogs represent, you know, in this case? And I'm comparing it to the Mussolini, the disgruntled people, man. You see, like, the way they beat up his body, the way they were so angry, you know. Those are the dogs, man. You know, the disgruntled people are the dogs that ate up her flesh, you know. And that represents those people that, you know, beat it and battered his body, you know, when he died, man. And the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung, man, upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, "This is Jezebel." Oh, man, that brought back into my head that scriptures. Fear not the words of sinful men, for their glory shall be dung and worms, man. That precept just popped into my head right here. The carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung, man. So you see, you know, the scriptures talk about that, man. You know, fear not the words of sinful men, man, for their glory shall be dung and worms, man. You feel me? So, you know, all this stuff, man, you know, it was horrible what he did, man. You know, and the Most High got him, man. So, all this stuff, man, and this corruption, man. I mean, these things also stem into like the Italian mafia. I mean, you look at you know, Yakuza, for example. I mean, like organized crime in totality, man. You know, a lot of these guys, man, they were going around. Here's the thing with Satan. Satan can't create, man. He can only really destroy. And when you really look back and you look at, like, like I said, the mafia organizations and the organized crime organizations back then, they were going around messing with just law-abiding people, man. You got somebody that was running a laundromat business, or they had a dry cleaning business. These guys weren't working, but they had the muscle, to intimidate the people that was following the law. You know what I mean? So they go in there and they pretty much say, "Hey, man, you got to pay a tax." For what? Because we say so. Else we're gonna destroy your business, man. This is what they did. And they did it with so many businesses, man. And people wouldn't pay, they would kill them. Like I said, these guys was only there to destroy, man. That's what the devil does, man. And like I said, I sit back and I think, like, yo, how did they come to this, man? How did the people allow this? Because, and that's where the government's supposed to come in. The government, they're supposed to be protecting, these people. But, when corruption is spread like a virus, it's nothing you could do, man. There's nothing you could do, man. Like I said, and these guys that say people revere them sometimes and they look up to them, they got the movies and things, but these guys was really going out there and messing with people, law-abiding citizens that knew they wasn't going to do anything to them, because they can, bullying them around to give them a cut or percentage of their business, man. Why? Because they didn't want to work. So you got to look at it from that aspect, man. When you really look at these guys, they didn't want to work, man, and they went out there and they just harassed people, hardworking people, man. To get a cut of their business. So, but you see the end, the end of those guys, man. All that stuff, man, it don't pay in the end. So, went a long rant in the end. So, hopefully this was edifying, man. All praises to the Most High, man. And they shall be cast out into the cold world, man, that we know and endure, man. Let's go.